Thank you for coming, everyone. It's great to see lots of personal friends here, friends of JHP, and just folks who are happy to be here and support a number of great causes. We really appreciate it. For those of you who I don't know, I'm Paul Germain, co-chair of tonight's event. Thank you very much. And also one of the original JHP folks from way back when. For many of you, like me, who've been involved with the Jewish Heritage programs and who have known Menachem as a friend, as a mentor, and as an inspiration for many years, this is an important evening for a whole host of reasons, but there are two in particular that I'd like to highlight. So first, in addition to continuing to show our support for JHP, which is why many of you are here tonight, which is an initiative that I founded or co-founded back in 1991 with my close friend who couldn't be here tonight, Ron Dermer, who's the ambassador, for those of you who know him, of Israel, Menachem and Ephraim. We're also going to be speaking tonight about an exciting new program we're launching called Mayan. Secondly, is that after almost 30 years of honoring countless folks who have been up here, who have made major contributions to JHP and the associated organizations, we're finally bringing the ultimate honoree. Where is he, by the way? He's hiding, typical of Menachem, to the stage, who's really the engine behind JHP and all of its related programs. Of course, that's the illustrious Menachem Schmidt, who's standing there. I'll hand it over to my co-chair, Zoya. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Paul, for the introduction. When I first met Menachem, I didn't know what to think. I was a cool, secular college kid making my way through school and heard about a new program that came to campus, JHP. JHP has been an instrumental part of my life since I met Menachem over 20 years ago. Through JHP, I've been able to begin the Jewish journey I didn't have growing up that directly led me to the Jewish and philanthropic life that I lead today. The authenticity and the content I found through Menachem and JHP, along with the peer-to-peer outreach and mentoring, were instrumental to my college experience. Menachem is a true visionary, innovator, and leader. He has an amazing ability to connect, and he is both modest and inspiring. Menachem has created a multitude of organizations that have truly changed the trajectory of our community. I strongly believe that the framework that Menachem and his team created should be leveraged throughout our community to further educate and to inspire. As Paul mentioned, this is an exciting evening as we're here to honor Menachem and to launch a new effort called Mayan, which means wellspring in Hebrew. It is now my honor to introduce Rivka Slonim.
America has been the greatest gift to Jews. It has accorded us full citizenship while simultaneously the possibility of maintaining our distinct religious identity. But alas, this spectacular binary opportunity is lost on so many. Hundreds of thousands of our youth are simply opting out of Judaism. Actually, it's simpler than, canceling your Netflix account. It's a crisis of epic proportion. Now, for decades, there have been organizations and programs dedicated to stemming this tide, literally to stop the bleed, to engage the huge number of Jews on campuses and those in the 10 or so years after graduation who call themselves in Pew Study vernacular just Jewish. No buy-in, no involvement, no interest, period. And then Menachem enters the scene. And he invents the wheel of Jewish engagement. And exactly like the classic wheel did, he changes everything. Menachem recognizes that for emerging adults and young professionals, the load of being Jewish, for various reasons, all, it seems to me, rooted in a lack of inspiring Jewish education, is too heavy or onerous or tedious or simply uninteresting to bear. So they drop it. But it doesn't have to be that way. Not if Menachem could provide the means to propel them forward Jewishly, not in compartmentalized fashion, with Judaism being an appendage, but in holistic manner, in sync with their overall self-construal. If he could provide them with wheels that they would own and connect it to the platform of Jewish community and identity, snugly enough, but not too snugly, so they would feel choked and disrespected for their individuality, well, then it could work, and it did. You know, everyone wanted to do something, and a lot of people did a lot of something. But until Menachem came along, no one knew how to really do this. It was Menachem who came up with the absolutely then radical peer-to-peer model that is employed today ubiquitously by every single organization, large or small or medium, operating on campuses. They all employ the same model. Call them interns, fellows, associates, I don't care, whatever. It's his model. In doing so, Menachem invented the model that has attracted and has maintained ties with hundreds of thousands of Jews who might have otherwise been disconnected from our people. I wonder often if the world knows who invented that model, because I surely do. I remember the day Menachem came to Binghamton in 1994 to pitch JHP to my husband and myself. This is going to be embarrassing. I'm embarrassed to admit that we totally did not get what he was describing. Completely. Incentivize students to reach out to their friends, huh? Why? How? What could they possibly accomplish? This part is really embarrassing. He actually offered us money to do him the favor of trying this model. The rest, as we all know, is history. Long before sociologists coined and threw around terms like Generation X, Y, Z, Millennials, iGens, Menachem understood that the old models of institutionalized Judaism, the establishment, the denominations, the top to bottom models were all going to become much less important because this generation wanted to own their own wheels. His genius is in creating those wheels and the axle so it can be tethered to something larger than the self, all while feeling natural and not forced. Here's another very different iteration of Menachem's wheel and axle model. Menachem had the vision, and with the partnership and mammoth assistance of his good friend, Mr. George Rohr, founded Chabad on Campus International. Today, it's almost impossible to imagine the Jewish world without that critical and unstoppable organization. But let me just explain what Menachem was up against in that scenario. Chabad rabbis and rebbitzins are incredibly dedicated to the cause. No one was going to drop anything. But at the same time, no one had the ability to really see beyond the creation of their own wheel because it takes a lot of work to create your wheel. Menachem had to come along and tether those wheels to a larger structure, and again, had to do it in this really delicate way so that these independent, entrepreneurial spirits wouldn't feel like their identity and independence had been usurped, but rather recognize how this was giving them greater strength and traction in moving forward in our collective mission. Menachem employed the wheel and axle model again and again, as you will see in this presentation about the Mayan Initiative, which is being launched tonight. Tonight is an incredibly important night for the Jewish people.
I'd like to call up Rabbi Ephraim and Rabbi Levi to receive these awards. Please come forward. So, these are pictures of the Rebbe inscribed with the words "Kara Welt," which means do everything you can to make a huge difference in the world. I want to ask the following. Give us a hand. We can't do it alone. We haven't done it alone until now, and it'll make an immense difference in the world. I want to ask you to turn your attention to the screens.
These are interesting times for us as a nation. People think they are depressing, but we have seen them before. Apathy, anti-Semitism, anti-Israel sentiment. We live in a world where people easily dismiss and disregard information. To answer this, We have found ways to give young people a Jewish perspective, a reason to embrace their heritage, associate with Israel, and find meaningful ways to contribute and become actively involved in our community. And my experience is that they want it. At Penn, our hub, ours is a very high-performing group. They live by the mantra of work hard and play hard. This is a group that can make a huge difference. Creating leaders amongst this group is a really important part of what we do. We have had to work against the grain. We have created some really amazing programs and shared them with dozens of other campuses. How many of you have been touched by these efforts and have become leaders in your own right? We must build on this momentum together. Now is the time when it's needed more than ever. What do we bring to the table? Absolute and total commitment. Absolute love and devotion to every Jew. We believe that people are good. We bring a connection to the Rebbe who teaches us to give each and every person with unqualified love. That's the example he has given us, and that is our platform. We embrace every Jew as a giver and a receiver. Every person has something crucial to contribute. Together, we have created programs that have revolutionized the world of outreach through Jewish heritage programs' peer-to-peer methodology. We created models which help those with food insecurity and engaged unprecedented numbers of volunteers from all parts of the Jewish community through the Jewish Relief Agency. JRA, born and headquartered in Philly, is now in 5 other cities. We're fighting the mental health crisis on campus with our Cogwell program, which trains hundreds of students each year. We live in a world where academics have a strong effect, and sometimes a negative effect in terms of Israel and Judaism. We have hosted many conferences with high-level academics and key influencers to educate the educators to shift some mindsets. Now we're excited to be building the Mayan Collaborative. It's an incubator and resource center which will centralize our administration and fundraising and facilitate uniform program expansion. Mayan will become a platform for the innovation of new ideas. It will improve and expand present programs and will expedite collaboration. And it will enable me to use my time more efficiently and effectively. What does that look like? Well, one thing, when you bring a JHP chapter to a campus, conventional thinking says you're creating another franchise. However, Hasidus tells us everybody is meant to be a giver and a receiver. If I work with you, then I learn from you, and we become a team that accomplishes something great. Tracking communication between moving objects and really busy people takes time, energy, infrastructure, and human resources. This all requires funding. There are hundreds of tested and wonderful programs hidden in our Chabad houses, programs that my friends are hiding, and I want to help them, and they want to help me. We're doing JHP and Cogwell, and there are so many super creative colleagues propelled by the same values with amazing activities just waiting to be developed and scaled to other communities. We need to work closely with really talented additional new staff and our alumni partners to use best business practices. This will create a legacy of our innovative and forward-thinking approach and will address the growing challenges facing our community. So what's at stake? Nothing more than helping Israel, saving the Jewish people, the Jewish future, creating dynamic Jewish leaders, and stopping kids from hurting themselves. Besides that, nothing important, right? We need stronger, smarter, and better tools to build on our current infrastructure. We need the funding to recruit the talent, resources, and know-how. Imagine JHP growing from 10 to 100 campuses, reaching 100,000 students. Imagine this for your children, your grandchildren, and their friends. We have created innovative techniques and come up with out-of-the-box solutions, but much more is needed for the generations to come. We have so much to build on. There are endless opportunities, and now more than ever, we're looking for ways to expand our impact and strengthen our core for maximum long-term sustainability. There is no one-size-fits-all. Every program and every person is special, and you have to recognize the treasure within each and every person to bring it out. That takes a lot of resources. I know we can develop and build this with your help.
I ask you please to welcome Mr. George Rohr.
Thank you, Rabbi Schmidt. I must say, when I first met Menachem, I didn't know what he was talking about either. It's not just the sum of its parts. The whole is much, much bigger than the sum of all the parts that are here tonight. What brings me here is not only what has happened as a result of the drive, the tenacity, the imagination, the vision, the creativity, the ability to irritate of one man, Rabbi Menachem Schmidt, and all that has been created as a result, but an understanding that all of that merely provides a foundation for what we have to now build on and what we have to take forward. Menachem is a relentless man with a grandiose dream. Something that he had no direct benefit from was the basis of something very big that I had the privilege of partnering with him on at its very inception, and that was the early days of Chabad on campus and its development. There was already amazing work being done on college campuses when we turned our attention to this. There were some radiant beacons of light on college campuses, not the least of which was Rabbi and Rebbetzin Slonim at Binghamton, who spoke so eloquently this evening. But Rabbi Schmidt took it upon himself to become a colossal nudge, an irritator, and to try and paint for me a picture which was very hard for me to understand. Today, in retrospect, we look at Chabad on campus and we say, yeah, well, yes, of course, and perhaps it's difficult to imagine campuses in North America and the American college scene without Chabad on campus. But back then, it certainly was not obvious to me, but it was crystal clear and completely obvious to him. And he said, we've got to do this. We've got to pull together whatever resources we can to start to ignite an expansion of Chabad on college campuses all across North America. And he never took credit for it. What you see out in the field in large measure is as a result of his drive, his focus, and his unwillingness to just let it go when I would keep saying to him, I have no idea what you're talking about. And it wasn't just me, it was many others whom he drew into this cause. And he never took credit for it, as I mentioned. So here we are, 270 centers later, all across North America. And it was all built the way the wheel was built. Not too tight, not too loose, the right balance, had to provide a foundation, and that's what made it go. The same spirit that started Chabad on campus started JHP, Jewish Business Network, JRA, Cogwell, 20 Chabad centers in Philly and more. It's become clear to a group of us that this energy and this process of incubation, this incubation model, has to be systematized, and that's what we're talking about here tonight. Sure, it's about new staff and new funds and new infrastructure and so forth, but it really is about creating a network-led movement to really unleash the power of all of those things. We represent one of the strongest Jewish networks in the world, Menachem's network. And we have to own it together, lead this together, and make it our shared initiative to quadruple everything that's been accomplished up until now, just as a first step. Everyone here can help and contribute their time, their energy, and their money. A group of us have started the process already, but it's only the beginning. Please don't wait for them to reach out to you. Be proactive and offer. You'll be really happy that you did, and you're already partners. Become an even bigger partner, because it's unimaginable what there is still to be accomplished. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, George, and thank you for all you do. So thank you all for joining us this evening, and thank you for supporting Menachem and his vital work. We are truly honored to even get the opportunity to honor you and also embarrass you just a little bit. And we also truly look forward to partnering with everybody here in Mayan for our community and for many, many years to come. So thank you again for being here, and we look forward to your support and working together on this very, very exciting initiative. Thank you.